The rain fell in thin, cold sheets against the cracked concrete of the county prison yard, each drop echoing like a countdown to something dark. The new inmate walked in, tall, broad-shouldered, quiet, and calm. His name was Marcus Reed, a man whose very presence seemed to draw suspicion from both guards and prisoners alike. The rumor mill had already started spinning by the time he stepped through the gates. Some said he'd killed a cop. Others whispered he was framed. But no one really knew that the man they were staring at was indeed just another inmate. He was a decorated Delta Force commander, one of the most lethal men to ever serve his country, and now falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit. His eyes, calm and calculating, scanned every corner of the yard with the precision of a soldier assessing a battlefield. Yet to everyone else, he looked like just another black man, tossed into a system that never gave him a fair shot. The guards watched him with a mix of disdain and quiet curiosity. One of them, Officer Daniels, muttered under his breath, another one thinking he's tough. We'll see how long he lasts. Marcus didn't react. He'd learned long ago that silence was stronger than anger. The other prisoners, grouped by color and gang, marked their territories with stares that could cut through bone. The Aryan Brotherhood sat near the weights, the Latinos by the fence, and a cluster of black inmates under the basketball hoop. The tension was constant, like a storm that never cleared. Marcus found a quiet corner by himself and sat down, his back against the wall, eyes half closed, listening to the rhythm of prison life. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed, metal hitting metal, followed by laughter. 3 white inmates approached him, tattoos crawling up their necks like veins of venom. Their leader, a heavy-set man with a buzz cut and a swastika across his knuckles, smirked. "You knew, huh? Don't know how things work here, boy?" Marcus looked up, his gaze steady, unflinching. "Just trying to serve my time," he said quietly. "Ain't looking for trouble." The leader chuckled darkly. "That's the problem, trouble's looking for you." He swung his fist, aiming for Marcus's face, but in one fluid motion, faster than the eye could track. Marcus caught his wrist mid-air, twisted it backward, and swept his leg out from under him. The man hit the ground with a thud that silenced the entire yard. The other 2 rushed him, but Marcus moved like a shadow, precise, controlled, lethal, without being flashy. He didn't just fight, he neutralized. Within seconds, all 3 were down, groaning, humiliated. The guards blew their whistles, rushing in, but Marcus had already stepped back, hands raised, calm. "They attacked me," he said simply. Daniels shoved him against the wall, face twisted in anger. "You think you can play hero here?" Marcus didn't reply. He'd seen worse faces in war zones. He'd survived ambushes in deserts and jungles, but nothing felt colder than the injustice of this place. That night in his cell, he lay on the hard mattress staring at the ceiling, thinking about how he ended up here. 2 months ago, he'd been decorated for valor. Then came the raid, a botched mission that ended with civilian casualties. Someone had to take the fall. Evidence was planted, testimonies twisted, and Marcus Reed went from hero to criminal overnight. His commanding officer, Colonel Briggs, had betrayed him to save his own career. "You'll be out in a few months," Briggs had promised, his tone hollow. But the jury hadn't cared about promises or truth. They saw a black man in uniform and assumed guilt. Marcus's thoughts were interrupted by a low voice from the bunk below. "You got moves, man," the voice said. It was Daryl, a quiet inmate who'd been there for years. "You military?" Marcus hesitated. "Used to be." Daryl nodded slowly. "Word travels fast here. You embarrassed Mason, the Aryan boss. Ain't gonna let that slide. Watch your back." Marcus closed his eyes, his mind already calculating scenarios, exits, weaknesses. He'd been trained to survive anywhere, under any condition. Prison was just another battlefield, one filled with walls instead of mountains. The next morning, whispers followed him everywhere. "That new guy messed up, Mason," one inmate said. "He's dead meat." The guards seemed to enjoy the brewing tension. It made their shifts less boring. In the cafeteria, Marcus kept to himself, eating slowly, eyes down, but awareness sharp. He could feel Mason's crew watching him from across the room. They were plotting something, waiting for the right moment. After lunch, he was sent to work detail, cleaning the laundry room with Daryl. "You ever think about getting out?" Daryl asked quietly. Marcus replied, "Every second. But freedom ain't just walking out that gate. It's knowing who you are when you do. Daryl smiled faintly. Deep words for a man, they say, killed someone. Marcus looked at him, his expression unreadable. I didn't kill anyone, but someone wanted the world to believe I did. Later that night, as the lights dimmed and the hum of the prison settled, Marcus heard faint footsteps approaching his cell. Then a shadow moved. The lock clicked. He sat up instantly. The door swung open, and 3 men rushed in, shivs glinting under the dim light. Mason's voice hissed, "This is for embarrassing me, soldier boy." They lunged, and everything went dark. The instant the first blade came at him, Marcus moved with the reflexes of a man who had spent years fighting in silence and shadows. His body reacted before his mind had the chance to form words. The shiv slashed through the air, missing his throat by an inch as he twisted sideways, driving his shoulder into the attacker's chest. The man stumbled backward, the weapon clattering to the floor. Marcus grabbed his arm, twisted it sharply until bone cracked, and used him as a human shield as the second man lunged forward. The blade buried itself in the first attacker's side, and Marcus shoved both of them away in one fluid motion. The third came from behind, his arm wrapping around Marcus's neck, pressing cold steel against his skin. Marcus's hand snapped upward, fingers pressing into the man's wrist until the knife dropped. He pivoted, elbowed him in the ribs, then slammed him against the wall with such controlled force that the air left his lungs in a single gasp. The entire scuffle took less than 10 seconds. When it was over, 3 men lay groaning in the dim cell light, and Marcus stood over them, chest heaving but calm. The noise drew guards from down the corridor. Whistles shrieked, boots thundered. Marcus stepped back, hands raised again, eyes cold but calm. Daniels arrived first, his face twisting in disbelief. "What the hell happened here?" Marcus replied evenly, "They came for me. I just defended myself." But Daniels' smirk said it all. He didn't care who started it. "Looks like you like to fight, Reed. Maybe solitary will cool you off." The guards dragged him away, ignoring the blood on the floor, ignoring Mason's men gasping for air. Inside solitary, the walls pressed in cold concrete, a single flickering bulb, and silence thick enough to choke on. Marcus sat down, his thoughts looping through the same question: who wanted him silenced here? Was it just Mason's ego, or something deeper? After 3 days in the hole, Marcus was released back into the general population. But things had shifted. The black inmates, once indifferent, now watched him with a mixture of respect and curiosity. Rumors spread, stories about how he'd taken down 3 Aryans alone, how he fought like a ghost. Daryl met him by the yard fence, whispering, "You made an impression, man. People starting to think you're not just another convict." Marcus replied quietly, "I'm not." Then Daryl lowered his voice. "You know Mason's still coming? He's getting help from the outside. Word is, someone paid him to make sure you don't make it out of here alive." That hit Marcus like a wave of ice. Someone on the outside was orchestrating this. He thought about Colonel Briggs again, his former commander, the man who'd set him up. It made sense. Briggs knew Marcus's record, his discipline, his silence. Killing him in prison would bury the truth forever. The realization ignited something cold and fierce inside Marcus. Not anger, but purpose. He decided he would survive, not just to live, but to expose the men who framed him. The next morning during roll call, he noticed a new prisoner, lean-sharped, with a quiet gait that screamed military. Their eyes met, and Marcus recognized it instantly. The stance, the awareness, the subtle control. Later that day, the man approached him in the yard. "You Marcus Red?" he asked. Marcus nodded slowly. "Who's asking?" The man lowered his voice. "Name's Kane. I was Delta 2 years back, served under Briggs once." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Briggs, you know what he did?" Kane nodded. "He's been trying to clean up loose ends. You're one of them." For the first time since he entered prison, Marcus felt something shift. Maybe fate had given him an ally. Kane explained how Briggs had been working with a private military contractor, laundering weapons and cash through covert missions. When one operation went bad, Briggs needed a scapegoat. Marcus, the black commander with a spotless record and inconvenient integrity, had been perfect for it. "He thought prison would finish the job," Kane said. "Guess he didn't count on you surviving." Days passed, and Marcus began to plan. Every soldier knows that to win a war you must understand the terrain, and in prison, terrain meant people. He started observing patterns, guard rotations, shift changes, power hierarchies among inmates. Kane quietly spread word through old connections that Marcus Reed was on just any soldier. He was a commander. That rumor spread like wildfire, and with it came a strange mix of fear and loyalty. The gang started keeping their distance. Even Mason's men avoided direct confrontation. But one afternoon, while Marcus worked in the machine shop, the air changed. He felt it before it happened, that old sixth sense honed by years of combat. The silence in the room stretched too long. Then, without warning, a pipe swung from the shadows, slamming into his shoulder. He spun, blocking the next hit, and saw Mason himself grinning with broken teeth. "You should have stayed down, soldier boy." Another swing came, then another. Marcus ducked, slammed his elbow into Mason's ribs, and used the momentum to drive his knee into his chest. But there were too many this time. 5, maybe 6. They circled him, the clang of metal echoing like gunfire. He moved with precision, but even he couldn't fight everyone at once. A punch connected with his jaw. Blood filled his mouth. Someone hit him from behind, dropping him to one knee. Just when it seemed they'd overpower him, a sharp command barked from the doorway. Enough. It was the warden himself, flanked by guards with batons raised. Mason and his crew froze. The warden's eyes scanned the room and landed on Marcus. "Reed," he said coolly, "seemed to attract chaos." Marcus spat blood, meeting his gaze. "I attract cowards." The warden's expression darkened. "You're on thin ice, soldier. One more incident. You'll disappear into a hole so deep the sun won't remember you." As the guards dragged Mason's men away, Marcus knew the warden wasn't bluffing. This place wasn't just punishment. It was control, a system built to break men like him. That night, Kane slipped a note under Marcus's cell door. It read, "They're transferring you in 3 days. Not safe." Briggs arranged it. Marcus stared at the words, heart steady but mind racing. A transfer could mean execution disguised as bureaucracy. He had 3 days to act, 3 days to turn from hunted to hunter. As he lay in the dark, muscles sore, blood dried on his knuckles, he thought of his mother, his voice telling him as a child, never let them decide who you are. The world had tried first, the system now, the prison, but Marcus. Reed wasn't done fighting. He was done surviving. It was time to strike back.